Yeah, I'm trying to... Let's look at Nintendo Life, Nintendo Game Switch file sizes.
Only people like me would actually look at stuff like that, so I don't blame you for not knowing off the top of your head.
Hey, man, I've put you on the spot enough times on this podcast, so...
I'm just saying, we can cut all this out.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm already planning.
Oh, no, I need to verify my age.
Nice job, Randall.
I'm not old enough. I'm not old enough to look at these games.
Why did I bother putting my... Oh, it even says downloaded. Oh, because I'm logged in.
Oh my god.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery,
Hey, everybody.
John Hines,
Hey there.
and DJ Mandolini.
Yo.
Full house once again. I don't know why I got to call attention to that every single time everybody's here, but it just, it's a momentous occasion when we can all get together.
That's
so
right.
We gotta celebrate. So
Absolutely.
what better way to celebrate than doing what we do maybe best, or at least mediocre, hopefully? We'll talk about some video games. Oh, man. But, John, why don't you... you're probably playing the newest, or at least the most recently released thing. It's not necessarily the newest game, but the most recently released.
Re-released on a new platform.
That's right.
Which is the name of the game on Switch, as we've talked about many times.
Yes. Basically, since Control came out originally back in August of 2019, it's been on my radar, and it's been a game that I've been very much waiting for either to get a PC that could play it, or a PC at all, or to wait for it to get ported to a system that I own. And I was not expecting it to ever really get ported in the way that it did over to Switch, or at least as soon as it did onto Switch.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, with like they do all the time, like we've mentioned with a few games on the podcast, like they just release it during one of the Nintendo Directs, which is, or at least right after it or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And the difference is, and the reason why they were able to port it over to the Switch, is because they're testing out the waters on something they've done with Resident Evil before, where it's a cloud service for the game, and you're basically streaming the game through, like, it's running on a remote server somewhere, and you're just kind of streaming it over the internet. So you do need a constant internet connection throughout in order to play this game, and it's constantly checking. You can't leave the game idle for too long, which is a very hard thing for me.
I know you mentioned that. Yeah.
The way that I will play a game is I will boot it up and then go do something else, and just kind of like leave it like on a menu screen, or at a save point, and then I'll come back an hour later. So this has been an interesting experience just from that standpoint. And like, oh no, this is a game I need to like set aside time. I'm going to sit down and I'm playing this game. And initially, when I was very excited for this game, and had been anticipating it for over a year at this point. And I set up some time to play it right on, like, it was released, I think, at like 9 a.m. or whenever the Nintendo Direct was. Downloaded it.
It was early, yeah.
And like immediately started playing it, and then immediately started running into connection issues, which as like, it's been, I don't know, a week or so since it was originally released on like Switch, and I'm not encountering any issues now, but man, those first few days were incredibly rough.
Would it just
I gotta
drop
think
you,
that's...
or like would it just get really slow?
It was like it wouldn't even connect to the game. Like I was constantly getting errors that like, oh, like either game needs to shut down, or like remote access to remote server is not like processing. And
oh gosh,
like on day 2, which again, like these are like, I don't know, they seem at the time, it's like, oh, this is a problem. I can't access the game I bought. But also, calm the fuck down. It was like a day that it took.
Yeah, but still, you're like, hey, I just spent $40.
Right.
I want to play this game.
I know. like, there's,
but yeah, it sounds like it's maybe a combination of like everybody trying to log in at the same exact time, and also it maybe ironing out some kinks on Nintendo's end.
Yeah, especially since like this is like the first major cloud game that they're releasing worldwide, like not just in Japan.
Yeah.
And like there were, I'm guessing, a ton of issues to iron out. And like the main screen now has an update that says, though, we've fixed the wait list like thing, like that was a huge issue or whatever. And like it's totally fine now. But even in like the first like 3 days or so, like I think right around like 5 p.m. because I would be playing it throughout the day. But like basically right when like, I don't know, I would assume people in like my area were getting off work and playing the game. Like that's when I would start that's when I would get connection issues. And suddenly I would be like, oh, there's like slowdown, and like it would happen mid battle where like there would just be like full like 2-second input lag. So like I would be running like straight into enemies and like the camera would also be like reacting after the fact. So I would just be like getting these really great camera angles of just enemies just bodying me.
It's like in cinema mode.
Oh God. Like, so that was rough. And in addition to that, it also has 2 options, like right from the get-go. There's a graphics mode and a performance mode, or enhanced performance mode and an enhanced graphics mode.
Okay.
And so right off the bat, I started with like the enhanced performance mode because I want a better controlling thing. I really don't care like what
you want to play the game.
Like.
Yeah.
Especially on Switch. It's like whatever.
Exactly. Like
you know what you're doing, and you know that you're playing it on a cloud server. Like, hey, I just want to know that I'm going to have minimal issues.
Right. And I want the priority to be on the control of the game rather than what the game looks like. Yeah, and then I played that a bunch of times, and I thought honestly looks great because again, I don't really have that high of standards for what a game looks like to begin with. I still think it looks incredible, even from like an objective standpoint. I think it's a really pretty game, and I think that the like cloud streaming does a really good job of that. So after a while, I was like, you know what? I really should just check out what the enhanced graphics mode looks like. And I honestly think it looks way worse on the enhanced graphics mode. And like,
interesting.
I don't really notice that much of a difference controls wise, but like, I think that the sacrifice of like maybe making things look like a little higher texture or like higher whatever, then like the frame rate is sacrificed. So, and I think that's a really weird thing. Like if you're like, this is the graphics mode, I wouldn't think that frame rate would be the thing that you would look to cut down on.
Yeah. You want the game running as smooth as possible, not choppier or whatever.
Some people want it pretty.
But like it just seemed like a weird thing. Like it, like as someone who does not care about frame rate at all, like just watching it, I was like, yeah, I think the lower texture or like lower fidelity at a higher frame rate looks way better than like kind of choppier, like with like, oh, look how shiny everything is. So
yeah, this isn't even probably the best reference, but I do remember when like the Madden games were first released on like the first like year or two on Xbox 360, and it was like they were very clearly different than the ones on like PS2 and GameCube that were still getting released.
Yeah.
And it was just like they clearly just focused so much on like getting the sweat beads on Donovan McNabb's face. You know, and like that was like all they cared about. And the game played like shit, where like me and my brother would still play on GameCube and be like, yeah, this is still a fun game, you know, arcadey football, where like, yeah, when you, I don't know, yeah, there's the emphasis is I just don't care about the visuals that much.
No.
Yeah.
Or just like, you know, focus on like the cinematic parts or like the cutscenes, not the interactive elements.
Not during the game. Yeah, if it's going to affect the way the game plays. Yeah.
But overall, I think like it just controls really well. Like I think that as a like with the few hiccups that were at the beginning of the like, I don't know, installment period or trial period, I think they've pretty much ironed almost all of those out. I really don't encounter any slowdown or lag or any like connection issues since then. and I've been very judicious about making sure that every time that I'm done playing, I'm like closing out, because there would be like an additional menu press. Like if I left it on like there's the menu, the cloud menu to get into the access the game, and then there's the main menu of the game like in there.
Yeah. So
again, if you're like, oh, I've quit the game and I'll come back to this, and then if you're coming back after not playing it for an hour and you've passed the cloud and like menu, but you're still in like the main menu of the game after that, it's like, no, you've disconnected from the server. We need to boot you out all the way from the back. And I was like, all right. Every time I'm done playing this game, I'm closing this game and I'll just reboot it from the start.
Yup.
Like, it's just what you got to do.
Good geeky question for you. Do you know offhand or like have a roundabout way of remembering the size of the download for Control on your system?
Ooh, I don't remember the size, but it was pretty small. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering. Is it just like a little seed file just to access the server, or did they bother like installing assets on the Switch itself? It sounds like it's primarily all just pulling from that server to power everything.
Yeah, the game file is 98 megabytes.
Okay, so there you go.
Ooh.
Yep. All right.
Nice.
That tells me what I need to know.
So it's a key. It is a key, like some kind of encrypted code.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, but overall, like you're not finding, like now that you're over that hump, you're not finding it. Because I know like DJ and I did a trial run. Granted, this was a long time ago of PlayStation Now, back when they only offered games on like via streaming.
Right.
And I remember we tried playing like Spelunky. And like we just tried it. We bounced around on a couple other games, but any game that required any kind of precision was just like, nope, can't play that game.
Yeah.
Can't play that game. So I mean, you're not finding that to be an issue.
No, I'm not running into any issue. Like, I mean, I think even when I was like running into like the connection issues or the server issues, like I was getting those wild swings of the camera or control, like I actually didn't die in any of those times. So like I actually kind of really liked just like having an added challenge. Like there were a couple like really like close calls on that where like I was, as soon as like I wrested control back from the internet connection, I was just like, all right, run away, regroup, like find some cover. But like I've not like encountered any issue where like I'm unable to play the game because of like any connection issues.
Yeah, well, because I would just say like when we were playing like Spelunky, it was like to the point where like I was pretty much whiffing every jump because it was like I'm just, when you would think you would hit jump, the input would just be delayed enough to where like you just can't, like if it was a thing where it wasn't like we were just running into it's buffering for a quick second and it's fucking us up. Right. It's like, no, it is just the whole entire time. It's like the lag is so bad. But again, this was probably like 5-6 years ago. If you know, it was a while ago for sure.
3-4,
maybe not quite that long, but it was, again, before PlayStation was offering, like they do offer some games that you can download on that service now. But at the time, it was all streaming.
Yeah. I guess also my loadout, like there is your telekinetic attack is kind of targeted. So like that is actually kind of something that you can kind of do without really even looking at the screen or aiming too like carefully. So that's a little bit automatic. And also my loadout for the weapon is almost always like machine gun setting. So like that was also just nice. Like spread and like could stagger enemies if any of the random shots fired hit them. So maybe if I was, you know, doing the like sniper setting on like that, then I think that would have not been gone well.
Yeah. How far are you into the game so far, would you say? Just maybe guess, like, you know, if you don't know.
A dozen hours or so.
Oh, damn. Nice. Okay, so you've played quite a bit.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm going to be playing quite a bit more.
Nice.
I still have a DJ's copy that I borrowed a while back, which I either need to start playing or get back to DJ so he can refresh his memory. Mm-hmm. But you were a big fan, right, DJ, of Control? Or at least a fan?
Yeah. I got it from my old roommate, Mikey, and when we were living together, he would watch me play. And he noticed a significant difference in the way that he and I approached the game. And we found it was mainly due to me playing on a console versus him playing on a computer. Because
interesting.
Playing on the console, it really limited my ability to do aerial combat, because like the jump button and the joystick to aim, like those are both things that I do with my thumb, so I couldn't really do both at the same time. Whereas on the computer, you're just using the space bar to jump and you're just doing the mouse for the aiming, so you can like do more aerial combat. So
if you're good at playing with a mouse and keyboard, because there's no way in hell I could do that.
I mean, it's.
But I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
You get into like almost a god mode basically in this game eventually, and so I would have.
I haven't been able to. So
you will, John. I kind of wish I had played with more of that flexibility, but. We'll get into it when you make some more progress, Jono. And I really do need a refresher.
Yeah. I'll either drop that off to you. I'm either going to start playing some Control and have some thoughts, or drop that off to you and then maybe start playing Alan Wake, which I know is somehow tied into the series. It's made by the same developers, and it's I think there was like the last DLC of Control was like, I remember our buddy Mikey, it was like really pushing hard, like, dude, the last DLC is amazing. It's kind of Alan Wakey and all this stuff. So
I'm sure it would be great if I had any context of what Alan Wake was, because
Alan Wake, I know, is like kind of like it's a little horror-y. I played it a little bit. Like it's definitely got some horror vibes, to the point where it actually did kind of scare me. I know I've said on the podcast in the past that I don't get scared by video games, but they do that thing where like the audio, where it's like a mixture of like a regular person's voice and then this modulated, and they keep like kind of going in and out of like, regular speaking and then this monster voice, and the way it like fluctuates, and this like just like guy with a chainsaw will pop out like, I'm gonna kill you.
If you like that voice stuff, you're gonna love Control.
Okay, heck yeah. So we'll have some thoughts on Control, and maybe Alan Wake too, because it's on Game Pass, and Randall and I, it's just sitting right there. So maybe we'll check it out. And actually, I didn't plan this at all, but the next game we're going to talk about was also like announced and released during a Nintendo Direct, though not the most recent one. But Randall and I have both been playing some Sky Racket recently, and I actually beat this game. And that is no small. I'm pretty fucking proud of myself. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself.
Yeah,
it is like, so we'll get into, I guess, like it is kind of like a bullet hell shooter.
Yes,
meets a brick breaker, Arkanoid or whatever, but more horizontally scrolling instead of vertically, I guess.
Yes.
But yeah, you play as like the style of the game kind of reminds me a lot of like Astro Boy.
Yeah.
Just like the kind of anime cutscene in the beginning, and like really great, like, almost like that Sonic Mania style.
Very
not quite
vibrant.
on that level, but like, yeah. And yeah, it caught my, like, it's been on my radar ever since it was announced during that Nintendo Direct, because it just, the colors just pop. Like just super, super bright. Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibes.
Really, really nice looking kind of 16/32-bit sprite art all over the place. It's nice. It looks nice.
It's really great looking, and just like it just oozes charm, like all the kind of characters, and even like the bricks, some of them are wearing like sunglasses, and those ones take a couple extra hits to break. And like the main thing is like, so like we mentioned, it's kind of like a bullet hell shooter, but mixed with like a break, and being called Sky Racket, you're basically just holding a tennis racket and you're flying around in the air as a character, kind of a pretty large character, which doesn't seem to have a small hitbox.
No.
There's no like heart that's just like, just a few pixels. No, it's like your whole character, to the best of my knowledge. But you're trying to like, you don't have any firing abilities for the most part. There's a couple little things you can get throughout the game, but like for the most part, you're just like whacking projectiles back at the enemies, and there's like some that are more like pellets that are just kind of like one time, like you hit them and they'll bounce off the walls or the edges of the screen until they hit an enemy or a brick or something. But then there's kind of like this main enemy that'll come up, in most cases, like behind all the bricks. It's like a duck or something.
Yeah.
And like it'll shoot out these like slightly bigger like pong projectiles, and just you can hit those back and forth, and the more you rally those, they'll turn into like if you rally it quite a few times, you got to hit it like, 15 times or more.
Easier said than done.
Exactly, yeah, and get it turning into like the rainbow version or something. Yes. I forget what it calls it in the tips, but that'll like kind of plow through any of the bricks and stuff and just kind of go straight through them. But this game, like, do not let because in my head I was booting it up thinking like, oh, this is kind of like a cute shoot 'em up. I'll have like kind of like just an arcade, relaxing. Not relaxing. I know any game like this is looking to have some kind of challenge, but it definitely just doesn't look like it's going to whoop your ass. Right. But holy crap. Like I said, I did end up beating this game, but I guess it's it's a testament to the game that I kept playing again and again, because I know I've mentioned on the podcast too that I like will bounce off a game or just not even bounce off, but sometimes just be like, I'm done with that. I get the idea. I'm moving on to the next game or whatever. And this one, I just kept playing levels again and again and again. And I took a few breaks and kept coming back and played some stuff. And then Randall, you mentioned that there was like an anniversary update with like a few new like the anniversary of like I don't know if it's the anniversary of the release of the game or of the original prototype from like 2015. I know that the original prototype is from 2015, and that's what these new like anniversary levels are based on. But I think it is the 1 year anniversary of the game coming out. Which that's crazy to think that Nintendo Direct was that long ago. It feels like it was like just the previous one, but
I know.
I guess not.
Yeah.
But what have you been thinking? I know you said you kind of hit a little bit of a wall.
Oh my gosh.
Was that in a good way or a bad way or?
It's just like you said, it's very difficult. And like you also said, your avatar character's hitbox is huge. You are not small whatsoever. And like, you don't move as fast as you might expect compared to your average shmup or cute 'em up or whatever.
Although you do have like that dash, which I didn't mention either. It's like kind of like a roll sort of, and you're not invincible, but it definitely does make your hitbox smaller. It does. And you kind of like somersault around at a quicker pace.
Although I never got quite used to that completely, I felt like, but that's on me more than the game. Like,
no, I did by the end, but only out of pure necessity, because it took me a while to get used to. Like, it got to the point where I was just kind of feathering between like whacking, somersaulting around and whacking around. Like, it got to like, like spasm mode in a good way.
You have to weave through bullet hell like constantly.
Like it is bullet hell for real. Yes. I mean, there is stuff flying everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. It's crazy.
And not all of those projectiles you can hit back. Only certain ones that are like ball shaped coming from like that duck character or other things can you actually hit back with your racket. And I'll also say sometimes that racket hitbox is not so forgiving also, where like you have to be pretty damn precise to nail that timing to hit your racket to hit the ball back.
Yeah, it's more. I would say it's more the timing than like the hitbox. Because I would say they're pretty generous with like the swipe they give you. It's like a little below, a little above your. It's like a pretty good arc. But you can. There's so many times where I was like, yes, I got this one, and immediately take damage. Although again, they're pretty generous on how much health they give you too. I think you get 3 hearts, which is up to 6 health, but like you usually take half a point of damage for most
if you bring with you one of the little sub characters that you can take,
buddies,
the buddies, which are awesome, and you have several different ones, which kind of reminds me of the game Air Zonk, where you could have like little buddy characters you can pick, but as soon as you take a hit, you lose said buddy, and it's like, son of a bitch. Like, okay, like, do I restart this level or do I want to keep going? Like, it's
because you can pick them up on like the overworld map. Which is another thing worth mentioning. Like, I was really pumped that this, like, usually shoot 'em ups have like 6 or 8 levels, or something like that. This one has like multiple planets, and they kind of set it up where it's like game set match, or there's 3 sets, and it's 2 levels and then a boss battle on each planet. And then also you can pick up one of these buddies along the way as you traverse and progress through the game. But there was probably, I think there were 5 planets in total. So
I only saw
about
15
levels. Oh, yeah. There's no. You know what? I think there's 4 and like a little bit extra, like a little bit, like 1 extra battle or something.
Yeah.
But I did beat the game, but I did not 100% it, because also on top of like beating the game, like beating the levels, which is hard enough as it is. There's also all those challenges on each level. Like there's usually 5 challenges of like, kill X amount of enemies or break X amount of bricks, or it's different on each level, which I think is kind of cool. But to unlock the kind of final battle, to the best of what I can tell, I think you have to complete every single one of those challenges. Like, it wasn't like, oh, if you have 20 of these, you can unlock it. It's like, it was like, have 53. And it was such a specific number. I was like, I think that's just all of them.
Not going to happen. Not for me.
Yeah, no way in hell. I think I had like 12 or 8 or something like that out of 53. Like, so hard, those challenges. And I was wondering, like, if that would maybe be easier co-op, but I know you said you and Tina didn't get a chance to play it in the couch co-op mode or anything.
No, this game is just like so difficult that it was hard enough for me to play it on my own. And I feel like it might also be harder with 2 people just because it would add that much more chaos to the screen on top of everything else.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
It's pretty though, and I loved, like, there's little bits of polish, especially visually, like when levels start, they do that kind of Sonic, intro splash screen. I love that stuff,
Very Sonic. I love that too. It's so dynamic the way like the text pops in and stuff.
Yeah. So, but oh my God, it's so hard. Glad I own it, and I will pop it on from time to time. But yeah, as of now, I've just hit a wall, and I'm like, oh, let's play something else for a little while. Yeah,
it was definitely one that I was wishing had online, because I was like, oh, I'd love to play this with Randall. Like that was something like I could definitely see us at least hacking away at. You know, maybe we wouldn't beat it, but we could give it a go.
Totally.
But yeah, and I do, you mentioned the start of the levels. Also, when you get to like a boss, like right before, there's like a nice like splash screen, kind of like Enter the Gungeon style. There's a ton of games that do that, but I love those like kind of boss like freeze frame with like kind of a just very comic booky. Yeah, love it.
It's great.
Yeah, I would say overall big fan, but yeah, you gotta be in for a challenge.
Yes.
It is not an easy game, and it might look like it if you're just looking at the screenshots. It might look like, oh, just a charming little take on a shoot 'em up.
Be prepared for pain.
Yeah. Well, I guess before I talk about the other game I wanted to talk about real quick, I did beat a couple other games recently that I went back to. I beat Gato Roboto recently and just kind of went back and I started actually a new file because I was like kind of forgot where I was at, and I made one of those 15 minutes of game videos for Gato Roboto, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to pick up from here. And I did also came nowhere near 100%. I think I was at 62%, but I just freaking love that game. I know we were kind of mixed on it, John. Like you were kind of like, it's just a regular old platformer.
Or I was mixed.
Or you were mixed, or we were not on the same page, I guess is more what I was getting at. But yeah, it really is more of like a pure platformer that's kind of split into like 5 or 6 different level chunks, but I just really love it, and I love the humor and charm. I think is just so great. Like even when you get to like the ending, I guess minor spoiler alert, but it's like it's this robot's talking to the cat, and it's like, in case there's a human controlling you that has that irresistible desire to feel 100%, there's no point of going back after this. Like, this is your last chance to go back and get everything. And it's like, number one, I appreciate, if I did want to go for that, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But also just the way it was implemented, it was more cleverly written than I just, paraphrased it. But it was just, I just really, really loved it. And then I did end up finishing Kero Blaster and beat that on Zangu mode, which I did. I know I just mentioned it. I did a follow up on it a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to mention it is 100% a different game. Like it is different levels, different boss battle, different ending at the end.
Wow.
Totally. Like most of the bosses throughout the game were like just souped up versions of the bosses, but the final boss was 100% different. And just had a whole different, structure of the levels and everything using the same tile set, but really cool. And it unlocked like the ultimate hard mode of like starting out with 1 heart, but you get to keep all your buffs from your regular mode.
It's not
so it's
enough.
like it actually doesn't sound that bad, because at first I thought you only could keep 1 heart for the whole run. I know the look John's giving right now. It's great.
1 heart in that game?
Well, at first I thought it was 1 heart, but you can buy hearts throughout the game, and you can actually upgrade that. I thought it was going to keep you like, hey, you can keep all your perks and upgrades, but you can't ever upgrade your health. But you can, but you usually start the game with 3, so it definitely does start off the game. But being that you're kind of buffed up, I don't know. I might give it a go. We'll see. I've been doing some more streaming lately. So, and speaking of that, the game I did want to talk about just real quick is a game called Null Drifter. that I picked up on sale from Panda Indie Studios, and it's published by East Asia Software. And ended up going through and diving and picking up a ton of games from them on sale because they were doing a publisher sale, I guess. And they're one of the unsung indie publishers, I would say. Like a lot of $5 and $10 games, like normal price, that were on sale for like half off. But
shoot me
really
some
cool
titles.
looking.
Give me some refreshers here. What do they got?
None of them are going to ring a bell to you. They're all titles that like I just kind of found through this sale. And the first one I found was actually this game called Pity Pit, which is made by the same guy who made Null Drifter. And that was kind of how I found it. I was like, oh, Panda Indie Studios. How did I? Okay, it led to that. And then I picked up another game called Red Death, also from the same. And I think there's a game called Project Starship X. It's like a roguelike shoot 'em up that's only on PC that's from the same developer. And that's kind of what they're most known for. But yeah, this game Null Drifter is like pretty much think Geometry Wars, single screen twin stick shooter. But it's like a 1-bit style. It's got a little bit of a roguelike thing going on, but not really. Like I've played maybe 3 hours or so, and like I've already maxed out everything where I have like my starting health is max, my starting damage is max. Like there's like once you upgrade to the full extent, like that's just it, kind of like Downwell. Once you get all the palettes and different modes or whatever, you're kind of there. But basically, it's just twin stick shooter, and then you have a dash, but your dash also acts as like a melee attack. And then there's also like, and that'll kill everything but a boss, and it's just like wave after wave, and you're just trying to get a high score based on what wave or what level they call it, but what wave you make it to. And they only show the top 10 scores on the leaderboard. Like you can't see where you're at or what else is on there, but level 18 is what you need to get to make it to the leaderboard. And I've made it to level 17. I've actually done a couple streams. I've made it to 16 a few times. I've made it to 17. It's a little higher on PC because I was chatting with someone on Twitter and they're like, oh, it looks like you got to hit level 20 to hit the leaderboard. And I was like, not on Switch. We got a bunch of fucking noobs. But yeah, I've been just kind of going ham on that game, and like, I just like it. Honestly, I mean, this is an overstatement probably, but it's one of my favorite games that I have on my Switch. It's like it is. No matter what, I'm going to keep going back and back and back to this game. Like it's just such immediate pick up and play. Like to get to level 16 or 15 or whatever is like maybe a 10-minute run at most. And just the way things ramp up, and you get like a little like kind of like a warning sign, like a little yellow triangle. Well, it's whatever color the palette is for that you have selected, but like a little, like a warning sign with an exclamation point on it that shows you like where an enemy is going to come in from off the screen.
Nice.
And it's really all about like getting those dashes in and attacking those enemies before they start spraying their bullets everywhere. Because once it starts filling the screen, and again, because it is this 1-bit pixel art style where like your ship is the same colors, all the bullets flying everywhere, like they do a pretty good job of like kind of with some visual notify, like you can kind of see like a grid on the X and Y axis that kind of shows where your ship would be. But anyways, I don't know. It's just such an immediate pick up and play game. I just love the shit out of this game. I can't stop playing it, and I am determined to crack that leaderboard. So
nice.
I will definitely keep updated on that, and hopefully capture it on a stream. Yeah, it's awesome. And like I said, I picked it up a half off for $2.50, but for $5, I would not scoff for a second. Like it is awesome.
Nice.
Love this game.
Nice.
But DJ, what have you been playing this week?
I've just been polishing a couple things off.
Hey, I'm taking after you. I know. I felt like I was like, DJ's going to be proud of me. I beat some games.
I am, man. Get on that leaderboard. It's a great feeling.
There you go.
I know. It's so fun when you feel like it's, even if you just feel like it's within reach, it's just such a great feeling.
Dude, when I got like my stared-in run, like where I was in like the 30s or whatever, I was just like, oh yeah, man, this is just an incredible feeling. So
nice.
I want you to keep at it, Kevin.
That was amazing. Yeah, I'm going to crack it for sure. Top 10. I don't think I can get to the top one. I think somebody is like level 28 or something like that. So I don't know if I can quite get there, but
you're a chump. You can do it.
I can beat some of the Switch noobs.
Well, I've just been polishing off Undertale. We talked about I had started a pacifist run, hadn't completed it. So I completed the pacifist run, And I'm spoiler alert. I'm just gonna say shit because I assume Kevin, you're not gonna play this game anymore.
I'm not playing it anymore. Nope.
And Randall, you beat it. And John, you know everything. So
Yes,
but fucking that last boss battle with Asriel Dreamer is just so fucking satisfying. It's just like
good.
It's just the music, it just pumps me up so much, and then like all the like emotional context that the battle has where you're like rescuing all the friends you've made throughout your quest. Oh, it's such a
I'm hearing
great
the song in my head right now, and I'm just like, yes, it's great.
So
Feels good.
You both have completed pacifist runs in the past, then, or you have as well, John?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's hardcore.
Yeah,
but, like,
for real.
I didn't know like how much the story gets revealed like in the pacifist run. Like I knew a little bit about like the Alphys Lab thing. I thought that was something I missed that I could have done on the neutral route, but no, that's a pacifist thing apparently. And it's I don't know, I think it's really cool how it seems like each path has like its own kind of consideration, and it's like it
totally
does feel significantly different than the others. Because I did, after the pacifist route, I did go the genocide route. Which I actually didn't think that it was as sad as when you would kill players on the neutral route. Because I feel like on the genocide route, like they just kind of set you up right away to be like, yeah, you're a fucking evil kid, and like there's no room for like, you know, when I killed Undyne and was like crying, and then like a couple seconds later Papyrus calls you on your cell phone. It's just like, oh, I think you should, like, you and Undyne should hang out. I think you guys would get along really well. It's just like, oh fuck.
Yup.
But yeah, it was just like it was cool to go and focus way more on the battles themselves than I guess like all the cutesy story elements, because like that's if you didn't see the video I posted to the Discord, the last boss of the genocide route is Sans, and he is just the fucking
it doesn't look like an enjoyable boss fight. Like it looks just like so much
hours.
Yeah, like, and
I don't have. I know we were talking about going back at it again and again on Sky Racket, but it was not hours. It was like, okay, 3, 4, 5 attempts. Okay, I'll take a break, come back tomorrow.
No,
I can't just sit there for 4 hours beating my head against a boss.
DJ's got that persistence.
Like I know, man. I used to, but God, just too many games.
It's just such like a reflex based like fight too. Like there's only so much that like memorizing can do for you. Like I was very iffy on whether I'd even be able to beat it. Like so I'm very glad that I did. But it's, man, what a game. I'm very I am glad that I did all the paths. I am kind of not thrilled that I went out on the genocide path. But then again, if you do the genocide path before you do the pacifist path, it fucks up the ending, because that's how meta like he made the game.
Like even in the save file or whatever, man.
Yeah, like because that's the whole thing is that like what I forget what the so does Sans have the power to save, or what is his power? Because like the difference is like you have a power.
Flowey has the power to save.
So Flowey is save. Is yours load or reset?
Oh, I'm not sure actually.
Like this is the meta stuff, because like
I mean Flowey, in the genocide route, Chara gives you the ability to reset or erase, I guess. So
because it's all like
you have the true reset ability in the main menu. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, so it like, and the whole thing is that like in the like final boss battle with Sans, like the whole like dialogue that he's saying is like, you know what, like how many times are you just gonna make us go through this? Like you're the only one with the power to like just completely erase everything that we've done. Like, and it's like, ugh, don't enjoy that. Which is why I haven't touched the save file since I last beat it, because I was like, nah, I don't even for a fictional character, I don't want to do that.
Everyone's happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, not in my ending, but
I still got to watch a Let's Play.
You do, man. It's great. But yeah, so put away Undertale. Very happy about that.
Nice.
Went back to Haque that we had talked about a while back. That top-down turn-based roguelike.
Very traditional, or like quirky but traditional roguelike.
Yeah, and that game is difficult. I think like I was able to beat it. I was like some sort of necromancer, and I don't know. I feel like I maybe just had a fortunate like build or combination to start with.
But when you can bring back those corpses and get them on your side, it makes a big difference.
It does, but like, it's also, unless you're using that embalming fluid, it's rare that you get them. So
that's true.
It's not a power you can use as much as you'd think. And
sometimes you want to consume those corpses for health, you know?
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Hannibal style.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, I think we had talked about my gripe being like kind of the old man a little bit, or I know I didn't appreciate him as much as you did, but
he's so funny. I thought of what I've played.
I will say that I like the direction they took things. It wasn't more of the same of that. It went to a point where like I was actually decently interested in what's going on.
Okay.
So
that's interesting, because I just found it like I found him charming, and in the game, like it kind of gets like glitchy, and that's why I assume it's Haque. It's HAQUE, but I assume it's Haque, and it kind of like glitches out a little bit, and that's usually when the old man will pop up, at least early on in the game, and it'll be kind of glitchy, and he'll like just make some smart ass remark or something, which you just usually find pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have expected it to tie into like a bigger theme of the game. But
yeah, I mean the game is like within 10 hours, so it's not that extensive, but it does get a little meta and fourth wall breaky, so it's pretty interesting in that way. So I would recommend going back, Kevin.
Yeah, I love that game, and that's from Super Try Studios, and I'm just a huge fan. I haven't checked out a ton of their other stuff, but just based on Haque alone, like I love. Has the music grown on you at all, or does it change at all as the game evolves?
And it grew on me. I think seeing it change, like I was able to appreciate the kind of like chill
this is the first world.
It made more sense then.
Yeah, you're like usually in like this swamp area that's just got this kind of folksy guitar and like almost like these, just real twangy, like but not even a rhythm to it.
I would get bodied and be like, fuck this guitar. I'm having a rough time over
right,
there.
You're getting your ass kicked, and it's just like, and like the guitars are like a little out of tune, so it's like in that folksy kind of way. It's just like, I don't know, I really like it, but it's cool because the like title music is like really chiptune and like catchy, and so it's cool that it evolves and changes throughout the game.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm glad I kept with it. Especially because now I've until we decide to coordinate on some more of those Itch.io bundle games, I'm done with the PC games for now. Going back to my PS4, and I had checked out the like a trial run of Watch Dogs 2, just because I had seen like randomly one day that like it. That they were offering that demo, and I decently got into it. I wasn't expecting to like want to play more. I was expecting to do my typical, like, well, I need to play, I have this, so I need to play it through. And, you know, once the trial's over, I can say, like, okay, well, I'm done with the trial.
I checked it out. And
exactly.
Yeah.
But I was decently compelled to buy it, especially since it was on sale for $12.
Nice. And I heard they improved a lot because the first game, I think, kind of suffered from like over promising and not delivering. It was like, you can hack every device and you can do everything, you know. And then I think this game was like more realistic. And once people's expectations were even lowered from the first game, it seemed like this one got a really good reception.
Got it. Yeah, I didn't know because I hadn't played the first one. I didn't really know what the difference is.
Me either. Yeah. I just remember that. Yeah.
But that would make sense if it's like, okay, I mean, setting up proper expectations is very important.
Yeah, it was like Fable style, you know, like everything you do is going to have a consequence. And it's like, no, you're just going to grow horns on your head or you're not, you know.
Fable's a good game.
No, I like those games, but it was definitely it was over exaggerated. Like it is literally just a meter of good and evil.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not,
yes,
you know, every consequence has or every action has a consequence.
It's no KOTOR 2.
That's right.
Actually, speaking of that, I'm kind of surprised at how much your actions don't bear consequences in this game. Like, I don't know, maybe I've just got so used to like moral implications based on your actions, but like, sometimes I'm driving through the city really fast and I can't turn quick enough, and you know, a pedestrian has to absorb that flow a little bit. But like,
DJ's got the right
you know, the only, you know, then the cops get notified, obviously, and then there's that impetus to like not do anything, but like you're not penalized in any sort of permanent sense, like you're a bad person and you did this thing, and
you're not walled
so it's like kind of
like like quests or anything.
Right.
Yeah, kind of like GTA style, like just you've alerted the cops or you've not, but otherwise
it feels very GTA, because like also when those cops get notified, like it can be pretty difficult to evade them. Like
they go berserk, man.
I was just expecting, like, you know, if I'm just driving like a maniac, I can I can just outspeed them and get away. But like, no, like you have to they'll have like a copter just monitoring you, and you have to do just like a lot of cutting down streets like all the time. And it's actually really fun just playing that like evade the police kind of game, which I usually get a little annoyed at. Like in games, like I just find them like, okay, this is like hampering my gameplay, but it's like, no, this is a sweet feeling. I don't know.
If the balance is right, it can be fun, because there were times when I would boot up like GTA 3 and like I would play for the soul. Like me and my brother would just take turns, like get the cop meter up to 5 stars and then see how long you can last, and then until you die, and then it's the next person's turn. Like we weren't trying to do any missions, you know, nothing, just playing the game and fucking around. But that's kind of the fun. But yeah, when that balance is right, it can be fun.
Yeah, especially since, you know, you still have, you know, hacking abilities while you're like in a vehicle. You can like, you know, hack the street so like the water pipes underneath will burst once like the police drive over them or whatever. So there's still
does it go into like a bullet time or anything, like when you're doing that kind of stuff, or some kind of slow mo to trigger that, or
not at all? Okay. So yeah, you kind of have to be on it. But yeah, other than that stuff, like there's, you know, a decent amount of like puzzle solving elements, I guess I could say, with this game. Just because I don't know, I've had to retrain how I approach certain scenarios, because it's like, okay, now I have to take into consideration all these different like cameras that I can hack into, and maybe I can like set traps based on those. I'm not used to thinking outside of my personal avatar in terms of what I'm allowed to do. Yeah,
thinking like strategically in a third-person action game is not something you have to do that much.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been cool. I will say, like, the one thing I am a little annoyed by is that besides the horrendous dialogue, I typically don't care for the dialogue from Ubisoft games, but they just seem like a little too, I don't know. It's like they think they know what cool is, and it's just like
Yeah, it's either too try-hardy or too like self-important. Like it's like, dude, it's just a game.
Yeah. But the other thing that I'm a little annoyed at is there's a decent amount of like needing to get to the top of a building. Like you have to physically get up there, not just, hack a computer, and that lets you get to what you need to do up there. But like you don't have a ton of climbing ability. So you have to do stuff like go get a forklift and like let it raise you to another level, which is cool in a
that's cool.
puzzle solving sense, but like it can be a little tedious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you fall or something, I could see. Yeah.
But I am having a good time. It's been a while, I realize, since I've played like a sandbox game, and I think it's time. So I'm gonna keep diving in.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that, because I remember the first one being kind of like catching my eye and thinking this looks cool or promising or whatever, and just hearing that it was just like, not that good.
Yeah, I mean, like I would be tempted to go back and play that just for the fact that it's based in Chicago. This one is San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember that about the first one. Yeah.
So because I guess I don't know if I've played any Chicago-based games. I'd like to see can I recognize
Midtown Madness?
I hear it's pretty spot on. I actually do remember reading that. Like, I mean, it's not, stuff is called different things, but right. I hear if you're from Chicago, you will be kind of familiar with the surroundings and stuff, which is cool. That's really awesome.
I've seen the map of Watch Dogs 2. I don't think that you'll be very familiar with a lot of
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think it kind of makes very quick transitions from neighborhood to a neighborhood and doesn't do it in necessarily accurate fashion.
Fluid way.
Right. Fair enough.
Have you played it, John?
No, like just that is a one very specific thing where like someone posted this is the map of Watch Dogs 2 that's supposed to be Chicago, and I was like, oh my god, that's not even remotely close. And like the one that I did as a comparison was I pulled up the map for Midtown Madness, which was a very early 90s PC game that was just a driving simulator that took place in Chicago, and like you basically like Wrigley Field was 4 blocks away from Soldier Field, so like it was but like even that felt like more at least like tonally consistent with than,
like all
Watch
the stadiums
2.
Are nearby.
No, like at least like it was just laid out in a way that was like, all right, we don't have like the space to like recreate every street, but like it goes like at least the neighborhoods were in order, but like the distance between them wasn't accurate.
Yeah, they condensed it in a way that made sense.
Right. Whereas Watch Dogs 2 kind of is just like, this could have been this didn't need to be set in a real city.
Right. Man, well, we're going like old school episode status here with the full house. We got a long episode going here. We want to talk a little turbo graphics tonight, or
we don't?
Are you sure you want to table that for later, Randall?
Fuck yeah, I want to table it. Put that in my pocket,
we've been tabling it for a while, but yeah, you got that anniversary coming up, and got a little celebration, a little less gaming time, maybe. So yeah, maybe we'll table.
Daddy's busy.
you mentioned Air Zonk earlier, and it was just such a perfect opportunity. I was like, wow, man, you're too good.
You had to talk about Sky Racket. You're like, we got to talk Sky Racket.
Hey, man, we're planting the seed for future episodes. That's how pro we are over here. But yeah, I guess if we're going to leave the TurboGrafx 16 Mini on the table for a future episode, right. And I think we can wrap it up there for this week if everybody feels good.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I should have just read into your head shaking, Randall. I should have known.
That
we were going to table it. But yeah, like we always say at the end of every episode, you can find us at pursuingpixels.com. You can email us if you want. We do forget to say that sometimes at pursuingpixels@gmail.com.
Send us
I've been hopping on Twitch a little bit more often and uploading those videos to YouTube, like the Null Drifter ones I mentioned earlier. I did another, I think I mentioned a game called Pong Jin a long time ago on the podcast.
Yeah.
Part of that Game Jam, Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam. I just checked out more of that. Developer put out a new game called Flanet, like Flower and Planet. It's like a tower defense platformer. And then I ended up checking out a bunch of his other games. There's like a Legend of Zelda, WarioWare hybrid type game called The Legend of Hippo. Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow.
So I did like 3 or 4 games that I checked out from him, Sebastian Lind. So I'll put a link in the episode description, but also, yeah, but I think I'm calling, I forget what I named it, but I think it's just called like Low Key Let's Plays on our YouTube, and there's like a playlist because I haven't had like the full mental capacity to do the 15 minutes of game, but I've had enough to just lay on the couch and just kind of put the mic at a distance and just say, hey, I'm going to play this game. Yeah. Let's go. So
Nice.
Yeah, we've been doing that. And then, as always, you can just find all the links at the end of the episode description. Sorry, I'm rambling even more than usual at the end of this episode, but
it's good rambling.
Yeah, good rambling. Yeah, good plugs.
Yeah.
But we'll be back next week as always. And until next time, we will catch you then. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
At least they got rid of Jason Kidd, man. Jason Kidd.
I fucking love
Get
that
outta
boy.
here.
I'm a
I like
Jason
him.
Kidd
I like
stan,
him
but
as a player. He is not a good coach, man.
I also probably don't think he's a very good coach, but I love.
I don't
love him
follow
as a
enough,
person.
but every time I ever watched, I would just be like, what are they doing? But that was when they were pretty fucking bad, though.
Oh yeah.
How many players have actually transitioned to being good coaches, though? Be real, like.
Especially in basketball, not very many.
It depends. Like, also, I don't know if any coach really is like. This is me just in general. I don't know if coaches actually make a difference.
In basketball, especially, that's true. Yeah.
I think, like, did Phil Jackson really make a difference? Did Steve Kerr?
Like, who made a bigger difference? Was it Michael Jordan or Phil Jackson?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Like same with Steve Kerr. Did like Steve Kerr push them over the top, or did all the players just like actually hit their stride and like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that coaches get a lot of credit,
Too much credit. Yeah.
Like
I agree with that.
and at the same time, I think they get also too much blame. Like I don't know. Like if like
When they just get fired after like a season.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Like even still, like I was like, yeah, maybe Doc Rivers made some bad calls or like in the past couple of years, but like really, like, are the Clippers going to get any better with like?
Yeah, it's like the guy's got enough of a track record. It's like like you changing your coach is not going to turn your team around.
Yeah,
Maybe fuck the Clippers, though.
yeah. Ooh.
I don't know enough about them.
I want to hear
Blake.
Other than
I don't know.
like,
I
the
just don't
snake.
think they're that, like, likable at this point.
okay, what's a likable team? I want to hear.
The
What's that?
Lakers.
Shut up.
LeBron.
Shut your fucking face.
Did they don't still have Blake Griffin, do they?
No, that was
Because when they
went
had
to
like
Detroit.
Blake and Baron Davis and like those guys, I loved the Clippers for a minute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I've always liked the Clippers on paper, just as like the little brother, like
Yeah.
the chip on the
Yeah.
shoulder. Like they're never gonna be the Lakers.